Hare Krishna.
Krishna, Prabhuji, Dandvat Pranams.
Shall I start?
Yes, Prabhu, I have done live.
Okay.
Let me record and then you can start. Hare Krishna, dear devotees. Thank you all so much for joining. Thank you so much, Prabhuji. Dandvat Pranams or glories to Prabhupada. You can take over, Prabhu.
Hare Krishna. So thank you so much for engaging in this service. It's always a pleasure. So we will start with our invocation prayer. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Narayanam Namaskrityam Naram Chaiva Narottamam Devim Saraswatim Vyasam Tato Jayamudiraye Ashtaprayeshu Bhadreshu Nityam Bhagavata Sevayam Bhagavati Uttamashloke Bhaktir Bhavati Naishtaki Om Ajnanatimirandasya Jnananjana Shalakayam Chakshurun Militam Yenam Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaham Namam Vishnu Padayam Krishna Preshtaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedantam Swamin Niti Namine Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvisesha Sunyavadi Paschatya Deshatarine Jai Sri Krishna Chaitanyam Prabhu Nityanandam Shri Advaita Gadadhar Srivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrindam Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. So welcome you all for the second session of this series where we are discussing about the science of purification through the pages of Srimad Bhagavatam. As we discussed last time, when we are discussing about the science of punishment, it is actually a process where Krishna is helping us to purify our existence. So this is our second session, and before we get on to our second session, we will just do a quick recap. Let me share my screen. Just give me a second. Can you all see my screen?
No, Prabhuji.
Now, can you see?
No, Prabhuji. We can only see you.
Now?
Yes, yes, Prabhu. We can see you.
So, whatever little, realization that I have around this topic, I have tried to capture them here. So, This is something that is very important and very basic for us to learn. So we'll do a quick recap of our first session. So Krishna consciousness is not a punitive process, but it's a very, very merciful process. Krishna and his devotees are very kind, caring, and merciful. It's the duty of every practicing devotee to work on purifying his or her own consciousness by performing right deeds. As a part of this course, we shall learn different perspectives and types of punishments and their associated lessons to help us purify our thoughts, actions, habits, character, and destiny. So as we mentioned last time, we are going to build up step by step and try to do a very comprehensive analysis. Srila Prabhupada has used the word punishment and punished in Srimad Bhagavatam in different contexts, and even in Srimad Bhagavatam, at least there are 8 different categories of punishment and associated learnings that we have. So we will learn them as we proceed. Some of them are very limited to our conditional life. Some of them are part of the Lord's administrative as well as his divine laws of nature arrangement, and some of them are for the sake of instruction, and some of them are part of the bhakti league. So we will go through all those details as we progress in this course. So we mentioned that in all spiritual affairs, one's first duty is to control his mind and senses. Unless one controls his mind and senses, one cannot make any advancement in spiritual life. Everyone within this material world is engrossed in the modes of passion and ignorance. One must promote himself to the platform of goodness, Sattva Guna, by following the instructions of Rupa Goswami. Then everything concerning how to make further progress will be revealed. So we mentioned that how this is actually a very systematic way of evolving this topic and try to address from the very basic level onwards. So that's why Prabhupada says advancement in Krishna consciousness depends on the attitude of the follower. So bottom line is, at the end of the day, Krishnastu Bhagavan Swayam. If we understand Krishna is the Supreme Personality of Godhead, then we are properly situated. But then several of these informations and discussions are going to support us in coming to the conclusion. So as a part of last week's learning, we had 4 sets of reflections. First is to say that to reduce pain to punishment is to underestimate the Lord. Supreme Lord is just not a judge concerned only about giving due punishments for wrongdoings. He is also a spiritual benefactor, deeply concerned about our reformation and restitution. So we discussed that how just pain and punishment is not, as many times we think that if we do not perform certain devotional activity, some religious activity, we will be punished. Actually, punishment is a very, underestimating the whole science. So we discussed that elaborately, and we also discussed 5 reasons for our suffering. So we said ignorance, false ego, attachment, hatred, and acquired nature are our underlying reasons. And we discussed about 4 different types of people who deals with their mistakes. How one who knows his mistake and also corrective action, one who knows his mistake and corrective action but not able to act on them due to conditioning, one who is ignorant about his actions and reactions, and one who is adamant, arrogant, and doesn't accept the authority of the Lord. And finally, we concluded the topic by saying Krishna consciousness is a joyful process and there is no loss whatsoever. So, to begin our discussion today, we will hear from Srila Prabhupada. So this is from Srila Prabhupada's lecture on Srimad Bhagavatam 1.3.19 from Los Angeles on September 24. As soon as there is red light, you must stop. If you violate, you will be punished. Although it is very simple thing. Similarly, religion means the law of God. You cannot violate it. If you violate, then you will be punished. If you think that this religious system is very stiff, let me manufacture my own religion. So that kind of religion is not accepted by the Vedic culture. And when actually the real religion is violated, yada yada hi dharmasya glanir bhavati. Glanihi means violation. Tadatmanam srajamyaham. At that time, the Supreme Lord or his representative comes to establish real religion. The reason why we are picking this up is, in today's discussion, we are going to discuss about 3 sets of reflections and their associated points. And we are going to go to the basics of Krishna consciousness, basic of spiritual life. With all due respects, in my last 35 years of being in Krishna consciousness, we have seen devotees, sometimes they are overconfident or extra familiar to this process, that they take the basics of devotional practices lightly and eventually they lose themselves to Kali. So for some of you, whatever we may be discussing today may be absolutely basic and you might, find them, very you might already know them, but still it's important for us to go through them, because unless we talk about the foundational aspects of Krishna consciousness, Srila Prabhupada is warning us, talking about some very high subject matter without proper realization, without proper personal practices, without proper depth in spiritual realization, we might risk our devotional life. So we are going to discuss the 3 reflections which are centered around about dharma and adharma. Reason being, Srila Prabhupada writes that when adharma is going to uplift, when adharma is going to come up, when people are going to be religious, then the Supreme Lord had to come down to fix it. Of course, Krishna consciousness is beyond and above all norms, beyond and above religion, beyond and above knowledge, beyond and above rules and regulation. Krishna consciousness is about fully love and sentiments for the Supreme Personality of Godhead. But then, Srila Prabhupada writes in the Nectar of Devotion that up till you reach to a certain stage, knowledge and renunciation are definitely required. And when you say knowledge and renunciation, it means knowledge, application of knowledge, relinquishing of some of the materialistic understanding, accepting of spiritual practices, and slowly raise our consciousness up. So, Dharma happens to be a very important foundation for our spiritual practices. We cannot start spirituality on unrighteousness unless there is righteousness established, unless there is some rules and regulations defined, unless we are able to operate within the purview of the law of Lord, we are definitely going to be contributing to the problem. Krishna, he is definitely going to help us gain the transcendental knowledge and eventually give a transcendental relationship. But as a Purushartha, for those who are part of this material world, Dharma, Artha, Kama, Moksha, and eventually Bhakti as a Panchama Purushartha, Dharma happens to be a very basic expectation. That is why when Srila Prabhupada started International Society for Krishna Consciousness, Srila Prabhupada did two things. Number one, Srila Prabhupada introduced everyone to the chanting of the holy name of the Lord. And number two, Srila Prabhupada introduced 4 regulative principles. Those 4 regulative principles are nothing but those principles which will protect 4 pillars of Dharma. Tapa, Saucham, Daya, Satyam. So the reason those 4 regulative principles are important is for us to perform Vaiti Sadhana Bhakti, for us to perform a regulated, systematic devotional life, which is our first step in our devotional journey. Of course, those who are Kripa Siddhas, those who are going to have direct transcendental mercy of the Lord bestowed upon them, all glories to them, we worship them. But Rupa Goswami Pad explains that we need to slowly raise up by following rules and regulations. So hence, our first reflection is going to be on Dharma, righteousness. Because if we are not righteous, by design, we are punished. If we are going to be adharmic, by the nature of the Lord, the way the Lord has set up this entire system, we will be punished. Now, as we build up, there are so many use cases that we are going to discuss. That somebody who will be punished by the agents of the Lord, somebody who will be punished by the Lord himself because of his material conditioning and notoriousness. And for someone, the Lord will punish so that we will be able to come out of or conditioning and correct ourselves in our, in our journey. So it is important to note that this punishment is something that is not just a mean part of this entire divine arrangement. Because many times they say that the God should be, forgiving. The Lord is absolutely forgiving, merciful. But when we go towards irreligiosity, then He doesn't. So as a part of our conversation on righteousness, we will be discussing some basic definition of dharma from Srimad Bhagavatam. Dharmam tu sakshat bhagavat pranitam. The real religious principles are enacted by the Supreme Personality of Godhead. If we are not going to be glorifying the Supreme Lord, as we read the next sloka, Dharma Swanishtita Pumsam Visvakshena Kata Suyaha Notpadayet Yadiratim Shramayevahi Kevalam. The occupational activities a man performs according to his own position are only so much useless labor if they do not provoke attraction for the message of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. And as we know, Dharmena Hina Pasubhi Samana. When you give up religion, you are no better than animals. And Manu Samhita says, Dharma eva hato hanti dharmo rakshati rakshitaha. If a person tries to crush Dharma, Dharma hits back at him. If Dharma is protected, then Dharma protects the one who protected it. So this much is a common sense, a common religious, dharmic information that right from the child to all the intelligent people in the world should be knowing them. This is something very, very basic. Because punishment is for the purpose of deterrence, to discourage individuals from committing harmful actions. Punishment is for rehabilitation, to help individuals recognize and correct their mistakes. And it is also for karmic correction, because if you are punished, then at least you are squared off. So to balance the consequences of past actions. But then the approach to punishment is done either through self-reflection, where one helps the individual to reflect upon, introspect upon, and take responsibility to their action. And it is also done by restorative justice, by repairing the harm caused to others, by doing some amendments and by doing some changes. And it is also done by spiritual guidance. So by giving spiritual guidance, providing support and guidance to help the individual to return to the path of spirituality. So these knowledge that Srimad Bhagavatam provide about dharma are not some superficial information. They happen to be our foundational, learning. So just to give a quick heads up, what is a crime that a person commits? The crime is about the sinful activities, because if somebody commits sinful activities, it is crime, and the doer is the criminal, and Paramatma is a witness, because Paramatma is saying, Upadrishta Anumanta cha Bharta Bhokta Maheshwara. And what is the evidence? His own lifestyle. By one's own lifestyle, you can figure it out, which way he is swinging to. And generally, what is the modus operandi? One uses his gross body or subtle body. Sometimes people are, meditating about sinful activities. Sometimes the thought of being mean is going to be affecting one's consciousness. And the judge, the witness and judge here, both happens to be Paramatma, because he is witnessing, observing. He is also Anumanta. He is also sanctioning what you desire, and through his divine arrangement, the laws of nature, an individual is, handled depends upon the gravity of the problem. And Srila Prabhupada writes, what is the punishment? Cycle of birth and death. Ashraddadanaha purusha dharmasya param tapam aprapya mam nivartante mrityu samsara vartmani. So if ashraddadanaha purusha, if somebody is not a Shraddalu, if somebody is not going to understand, accept, follow the process given by the Supreme Lord, then he is punished. And the solution is chanting the holy name of the Lord. This is to just give us a repeated remembrance, because even after coming to Krishna consciousness, we tend to not have completely got freed from our past conditioning. Somewhere or other, I still witness, still happen to see, still go through situations where devotees are being adharmic. So, I would like to propose 3 postulates which are, going to help us to meditate, which are going to help us to follow the righteousness. Because it is important for us to note that unless we are clear on our way forward, as we always say, that a person who is Krishna conscious, he should at least have the sense of understanding about illusion versus reality. He should have an understanding about righteousness versus sinfulness. If he doesn't have, then he is in absolute illusion. And that is very, very risky. So we are going to make 3 postulates. Number 1, far too many people are looking for the right person instead of trying to be the right person. Looking for the right person is not a problem. When we are not trying to be the right person, then there is a concern. It is explained that many times we are satisfied about our devotee association just whilst we are hanging around devotees. We are satisfied just when we visit holy dham. We are satisfied when we do our mala. We are satisfied when we do some action in the name of Krishna consciousness. But if you analyze these activities, associating with a Vaishnava, which means submissive service, sincere hearing, and applying what you heard, not just physical proximity with some self-realized soul. Visiting holy places is not just to have some physical presence in some geographical location. It is about a dham which we try to see from the eyes of Vaishnavacharyas by hearing from them and serving them. Performing the chanting just as a counting may be still counted as a good act, but For a person to need to progress in Krishna consciousness, he need to have an attentive chanting. For a person who is performing service, who is trying to do activities of Krishna consciousness for name, fame, and other extra benefits, then that's not the real mood why somebody should be in. So, we may be searching for a right person, we may be trying to go to the right place, we may be trying to do the right act, but the encouragement here is that can we be, as I mentioned, that one of the ways by which we can help ourselves to purify is by regularly doing self-introspection. As I always say, honest, guided introspection. So it is important to try to be a right person, and then for that to make us to become a successful in that journey, we try to search for the right person. It is better to walk alone than with the crowd going in the wrong direction. The entire Kali Yuga, the nature of Kali Yuga, the people in Kali Yuga are those who are trying to be a show bottle devotee, show bottle religious person. And it is better that I walk alone. Of course, you will never be alone, but it may apparently be, because in this direction towards Krishna, there are several people who are ahead of me. It may apparently appear that I might walk alone or going away from the crowd or being an odd man out. But it is better that way than going in the wrong direction. And no matter how educated, talented, rich or cool you believe you are, how you treat people ultimately tell all. Integrity is everything. Because the way we treat, the way we conduct, the way we respond, the way we transact, that tells about our consciousness. So, hence it is important for us to perform cleansing activity upon ourselves. This cleansing activity is something that the entire Krishna consciousness journey is insisting upon us. Because different things are cleaned different ways. Your body is cleaned by taking bath. Mountains and rocks are cleansed by course of time. Vessels are cleansed by washing. Birth is cleansed by samskara. Senses are cleansed by austerity. Possessions are cleansed by charity. One's mind is cleansed by satisfaction, and one's soul is cleansed by self-realization. So self-realization means spiritual realization of one's relationship with Krishna. Such realization ends one's miserable material life. If we just do a superficial cleaning, if we just do a cleaning, generally as we do when we have guests visiting to our house, sometimes when guests suddenly come, we will have to have a quick cleaning. Quick cleaning is nothing but covering up my dirt, covering up my filth, just putting up myself as a bona fide person in the garb of a devotee. Kali, when tries to attack a person, when Maya tries to distract a person, then Maya has got a strategy. Somebody said this. If you ask some group of devotees or group of people, you give them a piece of paper and ask them to draw a demon. The general answer is the demon is in black, black color, red eyes, he has a very big teeth, he has a very, gory face and has a horns, he is very ugly looking. This may be one set of definition, but a demon or a person who is adharmic, who is a Kali Chela, may as well look beautiful, may as well be knowledgeable, may as well be powerful, may as well be born in a higher varna. But a person whose consciousness is not directed towards the lotus feet of the Supreme Lord, all these considerations are very, very superficial. So one needs to learn in his journey. The reason why we are building about dharma, then we are going to talk about adharma and some basics of them, because punishment and purification is based on how much we are connected to the basics. In the 5th canto of Srimad Bhagavatam, whilst explaining about different hellish planets, Sukadeva Goswami is explaining how by performing different types of heinous acts, a miscreant is punished. We are going to talk about that in the subsequent sessions. The idea is that it is not so exciting to know, but at the same time it is important to know that as a person, I'm supposed to protect dharma. Of course, we are going to elevate from dharma to bhakti, bhakti to a raganuga stage, and eventually the stage of pure devotional service, and how even through the journey of devotional life, how punishments are seen, how punishments are awarded. So that way we will see at all levels. And because we are practitioners as well as preachers, it is important for us to know the foundational understanding is that soul is cleansed only by self-realization. And self-realization means to understand that Jivera Swarupa Hoy, Krishnera Nitya Das. So, to summarize our understanding of righteousness, it is important to note that human body is very rarely achieved. Durlabham Manusham Janma. Prahlad Maharaj says that although temporary like other bodies, it is meaningful. Because in human life, one can perform devotional service. Even a slight amount of sincere devotional service can give one complete perfection. By being in Krishna consciousness, one of the fundamental things that we get to understand is to differentiate between reality versus illusion, meaning we should know to differentiate between righteousness and sinfulness. That is why, as a practicing devotee, I always insist on all the students that please make sure we stop committing sinful acts. So long as we are not stopping our sinful acts, dharma eva hato hanti, dharmo rakshati rakshitaha. If a person tries to crush dharma, dharma hits back at him. In 4th canto Srimad Bhagavatam, there is a conversation between Prithu Maharaj and Mother Earth. Prithu Maharaj, when he took over the reins, he saw his entire, country was in drought. So Prithu Maharaj is going and challenging Mother Earth. Why have you not been producing the necessary ingredients for my praja? If you are not going to do right now, I will finish you off. And Mother Earth said, please understand. Please understand the background, sir. What was your father up to? King Vena. He did all sorts of notorious activities. He did all sorts of rascaldom. And how do you expect me to function when there is adharma? Now that you have taken over, I will obey you. Annat bhavanti bhutani parjanyat anna sambhava yajnat bhavati parjanyo yajna karma samudbhava. It is important to note that Yuga Dharma Hare Krishna Mahamantra is not only going to deliver us devotional service, which is definitely it is going to, but by performing our, basic duties, by performing Yuga Dharma, by performing the necessary righteous process, Annat Bhavanti Bhutani Parjanyat Anna Sambhava. If for the rains to come, because our grains will grow because of that, one needs to please the demigods. For them to please the demigods, one need to perform, sacrifices. One need to glorify them. One need to serve them. And to serve them, to please them, to glorify the Supreme Lord. So hence it is important for us to know that. So if you do not know to differentiate between our instinct, which is based on our immediate reflex action, I see something and I try to react, versus intellect. Animals generally operate on instinct. Of course, they do have a little intelligence, but their primary, functioning skills based on instinct, versus human being based on intellect. So hence, righteousness is not an option. It is a way of life for gentlemen. That's why Srila Prabhupada says, Krishna consciousness devotees, those who are practicing Krishna conscious, they are gentlemen. So being righteous, acts as a good foundation for our devotional life. This happens to be that is why Varnashrama Dharma that Srila Prabhupada was trying to revive, that Srila Prabhupada wanted to establish Daiva Varnashrama. He left that project for his future generation. And the way Prabhupada did was very nice. Srila Prabhupada gave about the importance of the Sanatana Dharma, importance of Sankirtan, Yuga Dharma, and by giving those two things, he had helped us to have a mass cleaning exercise. And he gave a, ultimatum that this is our vehicle through which we have to traverse our spiritual journey. But he did say that for the society to be at peace, that we need to revive our, system of Varnashrama Dharma, Daiva Varnashrama Dharma, which means keeping Krishna in the center and trying to perform all that is to be done. So that's the, first reflection that I want to say. Hence, righteousness is not an option, it's a way of life. So as a practicing devotee, we are aware, we are conscious, and we will definitely try to adhere to all the rules and regulations that are associated for our Krishna conscious practices, as well as all that is needed to keep Dharma protected. So the second reflection is about primary qualities for a civilized person, because uncivilized are punished. So this is from 1st Canto, 9th chapter, text number 26. Srila Prabhupada writes in the purport, Varnashrama Dharma is prescribed for the civilized human being just to train him to successfully terminate human life. Self-realization is distinguished from the life of the lower animals engaged in eating, sleeping, fearing and mating. Excuse me. Bhishma Deva advised for all human beings, 9 qualifications. And when explaining about these 9 qualifications, Srila Prabhupada writes that one cannot be called a civilized person without acquiring the above mentioned preliminary qualities. Besides these, the Brahmana, the Kshatriya, the Vaishya, and the Shudra must acquire special qualities in terms of occupational duties mentioned in Vedic scriptures. So let us look at those nine qualities. not to become angry, not to lie, to equally distribute wealth, to forgive, to beget children only by one's legitimate wife, to be pure in mind and hygienic in body, not to be inimical toward anyone, to be simple, to support servants or subordinates. Srila Prabhupada writes these 9 points in the purport as Bhishma Deva's advice. And when is this advice Bhishma Deva giving? He is lying down on the arrow bed after he did his quota of mistakes. When he is quote unquote undergoing his punishment as a reflection, as a support for all the persons who are, for yet to, perform their duties. So he is trying to give some basics. So Srila Prabhupada writes, one cannot be called a civilized person. So uncivilized are definitely in the direction towards being punished. But if you look at these 9, are they directly contributing towards our Krishna consciousness? Because in Krishna consciousness journey, we speak about so many qualities. In Krishna conscious journey, for a devotee, we speak so many qualities as an abhushana, as an ornament. So these 9 may be very primitive, but it is important for us to know them. It is not to be overlooked. Probably these 9 can be accomplished, as Prabhupada writes further, that yasyasti bhakti bhagavati akinchana sarvair gunair tatra samasate suraha harava bhaktasya kuto mahadguna. By just performing devotional life, suraha meaning the qualities of demigods manifest upon the person who is practicing devotional life. So I just want to highlight that for us to avoid punishments, for us to protect dharma, for us to be a gentleman, for us to be a very good example in the society, it is important that we take these advices and not overlook them. It is very interesting that for us, even to learn, we need to learn. Because preparation to learn is the first learning for a sincere practitioner. As I said in the beginning, Krishnastu Bhagavan Swayam. Chanting of the Hare Krishna Mahamantra is the process for Yuga Dharma. If somebody does that, be focused on it, glorious. And that's what he did, and that is what we will all do. But the reason we are discussing is this: if we are part of a Varnashrama project, if we are interested in reviving Daiva Varnashrama, if we are trying to be a gentleman in Krishna consciousness, if you are not being a hypocrite in Krishna consciousness, if you are not trying to, cut shortcut in your journey, then somewhere we need to learn. Otherwise, there will be a problem. Such preparation of trying to learn may be intense and important than the actual learning. So it is imperative that we have to learn properly. Whilst the essence of our learning is very simple and deep, because of our conditioning and crookedness, the most simple learning is complicated for us. As Chaitanya Charitamrita says, that Krishna consciousness is very simple for simple-minded, but is complicated for the crooked. So it is important for us to note that I should better prepare my learning process and eventually learn what I'm supposed to learn. So that's what Prabhupada says. I always want that my students should be very ideal in character and not discredit our society. Actually, one who is in Krishna consciousness automatically develops all of the good qualities which are possessed by the demigods. At the present moment, it is a great necessity to have some ideal men. Yad yad acharati shreshtas. Therefore, we are endeavoring to create some ideal men, Krishna conscious men, their character, their behavior, their ideal aim of life. So those who have taken to Krishna consciousness seriously, they should be ideal men. The society will be benefited at least by seeing their behavior. And Chaitanya Mahaprabhu has taught us this process. So it is important for us to develop good character. And the important point is 80% of our endeavor goes in cleansing the mess that we have created. And if we do that by doing the basics correctly, then we can experience the happiness and clarity that Krishna is explaining. So one should learn to stop committing sinful activities. So if we are not stopping our sinful actions, then the sins, dharmo rakshati rakshitaha, and dharma, if it is not properly protected, dharma eva hato hanti. So we need to constantly remember that. So I just want to give a small table of understanding of bhakti, dharma, adharma. So initially, our bhakti is 0. Our dharma is also, we are not dharmic. We are generally adharmic. Somehow or other, we come in contact with, some devotees, some, sukriti we got Bhagavad Gita, we got to hear, we took some, prasadam or whatever, some opportunity. Then we tend to swing towards, dharmic thinking. Adharma may still be on, but at least we have started to think about righteousness, start to question about our material conditioning and things like that. And when dharma is properly established and eventually when we are tends towards bhakti, I would have started chanting the holy name of the Lord, I would have gone to temple, but because on the day one we are told to follow 4 regulative principles, my adharma, I should have put 10 to 0, but to simplify, I have made it as there may be many gradations in this, but at least I just want to highlight a very important point that bhakti, we will be in bhakti and we will have dharma, but adharma should be 0. But the ideal stage is 1, 0, 0. We are in devotion. We are beyond religiosity. We are beyond irreligiosity. We are situated in devotional service. That's the state of consciousness that we are supposed to be in. That is why in evolution of consciousness, we have mentioned that how we are supposed to rise up from individuality, self-proclamation, conditioned state, rise up from the stage of formality, hypocrisy, rise up from the stage of religiosity and dharmic nature to the stage of spirituality, devotional consciousness. Unless we are coming to that stage of devotional consciousness, we will be limping. Without becoming pious, no one can come to devotional service. It is explained in Bhagavad Gita that only one who has continually executed pious activities and whose sinful reactions in life have completely stopped can take to Krishna consciousness. Others cannot. Even if one is sinful and cannot give up sinful life immediately, if he chants Hare Krishna Mahamantra with devotion and faith, he will certainly be freed from all sinful activities and his life will be successful. Param Vijayate Sri Krishna Sankirtanam. So Srila Prabhupada says somehow or other that we all need to learn to somehow be ready to perform those actions which are conducive for Krishna consciousness. Even if you are doing some sinful actions, somehow add yourself to this Sankirtan mission and slowly this process will purify. As I had put in the table, at least we should come to the stage of 1, 1, 0. We should avoid. Without avoiding, we cannot make progress in Krishna consciousness. So, to summarize the list of learning in this, so we have different stages in sinful life. We are focusing on materialistic things. And when we are in the stage of We received some seed of devotion. We start questioning and reflecting on one's own life. When we are trying to give up sins, which means it is possible only when we start to learn, gain some basic spiritual knowledge and character development and starting to apply knowledge. The day when we stop committing sinful actions, consistently performing devotional activities, starting to hear from bona fide source, trying to avoid non-devotees, then our devotional life begins. And if you go further, not only stopping sinful actions, we stop committing offenses. Consistency in devotional activities, surrender to the instructions of Guru, preaches about, then our devotional life intensifies, and pure devotion is only love for Guru and Krishna. So it is very important that we have to learn this. Give me 5 more minutes. I will finish the last reflection. It's very simple and straightforward. Now that we spoke about the qualities of a civilized person as well as importance of righteousness, Srimad Bhagavatam throws us light on irreligiosity, or something that looks like religion, but then it is a complete farce. So there are 5 types of irreligiosity that Srimad Bhagavatam speaks about in 7th canto, 15th chapter, text number 12. There are 5 branches of irreligion, appropriately known as irreligion, vidharma, religious principle for which one is unfit, para dharma, pretentious religions, abhasa, analogical religion, upadharma, and cheating religion, chala dharma. One who is aware of real religious life must abandon these 5 as irreligious. Vidharma means obstructing from doing real occupational duties. For example, if someone is going to advise Arjuna, Arjuna, you are a very intelligent person. Please go to the forest and you need not fight. When so-called sadhus misguiding people, one of the Prabhupada disciples used to say that, sometimes these big businessmen, they hire sadhus, bring them to their factories and try to advise the people how they are supposed to be. Work is worship. He used to very jokingly say, work is worship, machine is deities, crude oil is, charnamrita. So people want to, somehow or other, for their own materialistic agenda, they use sadhus, and sadhus for their own personal agenda, they also support businessmen. So such type of irreligiosity is condemned. Then Bhagavatam says, para dharma, following a bona fide principle, but by a person who is not qualified to follow. What if a sannyasi is trying to follow Grihastha's rules? Or by being in a Grihastha ashrama, somebody behaves like a sannyasi. No, I will not touch. I will not take responsibility for the children. I will not be attached to the, household duties. I will not be, taking care of my dependents. So, and you may justify them as a bona fide rules, but are they relevant to you? So that is classified as para dharma, which is rejected. Third is called abhasa dharma. It's called fashion dharma. One who uses religious identity for sense gratification. So such type of dharma is condemned. Upadharma, sub-religion. It is like, religious beliefs which lacks focus and essence, like Buddhism, non-violence. It's a very good principle. But non-violence without God consciousness is substandard, is Upadharma, then violence in Krishna consciousness. But Jai Bajrang Bali, Hanuman did violence. Hanuman burnt Lanka. His worship is celebrated because it is meant for, God consciousness. Arjuna is glorified. He fought in the Mahabharata war. So it is considered higher than, apparent non-violence. And Chala Dharma, misinterpretation of Bhagavad Gita, manipulation of Vedic texts, word jugglery and cheating. This is pretty much, what the so-called modern day Dhongi Babas, all those fake Babas are trying to do. They try to use Bhagavad Gita, give some, funny interpretation. So Srila Prabhupada writes in the purport, Any religious principles opposed to the principle of surrendering to the lotus feet of the Supreme Personality of God, Krishna, are to be considered religious principles of irregularity or cheating, and one who is actually interested in religion must give them up. One should simply follow the instructions of Krishna and surrender unto him. To do this, of course, one needs very good intelligence, which may be awakened after many, many births through good association with devotees and the practice of Krishna consciousness. Everything but the principle of religion recommended by Krishna, Sarvadharman Parityajya Mamekam Sharanam Vaja, should be given up as irreligion. So the point I want to drive home here is that we spoke about religiosity, we spoke about the qualities of a civilized person and why we need to be civilized, even as why we need to be a civilized devotee. And we are also speaking about adharma from Srimad Bhagavatam. This is actually explained as moral codes for human beings. So one need to be careful in avoiding them. And these are all happening because of the symptoms of Kali Yuga. We have several symptoms of Kali Yuga. These are all, self-explanatory. In Kali Yuga, we tend to procrastinate, hypocrisy, not letting Kali Yuga not let us chant. If somebody is, stung by Kali, he will be giving us a very valid reason why we need not chant. Hey, you have a very long day tomorrow. You worked pretty hard. Probably you can skip chanting today. You are given so many, funny reasons, and that's Kali. Making us being attached to worldly association, gossiping and prajalpa increases, seeing devotees as ordinary people, lazy, misguided, short-lived, unfortunate, disturbed. These are all symptoms of Kali Yuga. The reason why we are discussing is that we are in Kali Yuga, and Kali Yuga poses all of them upon us. But Srimad Bhagavatam gives us an assurance that Sankirtana Yajna, if somebody is part of Sankirtana, if somebody is part of righteous wing, if somebody is part of Krishna consciousness, Kalir Dosha Nidhe Rajan, Astiki Eko Mahan Gunaha, Kirtanat Eva Krishnasya, Mukta Sangha Param Vrajet. If any or all of the above symptoms starts to manifest in us, we better take emergency help from a devotee of the Lord and also start to intensify our chanting. Otherwise, this is what will happen. We will not be any more normal. We will be laughing stock. We will have big house, but small family. More degrees, less common sense. Advanced medicine, poor health. Apparently, touched moon, neighbors unknown. High income, less peace of mind. High IQ, less emotions, etc. So, the point I want to drive home is, if anybody is stung by Kali, then they know the price of everything, but value of nothing. So Srila Prabhupada accuses this to our modern day, Srila Prabhupada says modern day education system, modern education makes asses. Modern education making them demons, that's all. The defect of modern education is that the children are taught all nonsense things. They do not receive even the first point of knowledge that I am pure spirit, soul, part and parcel of God. It's a very famous picture. If you see, if you judge a fish by its ability to climb a tree, it will spend its entire life believing it's stupid. So we live in a time where intelligent people are being silenced so that stupid people won't be offended. It's unfortunate. Nobody wants to give importance to Krishna Katha. So I want to give a quick summary of the third reflection and end the session. Please beware of pretenders, cheaters, hypocrites. Be part of the solution, not part of the problem. Be the change to bring in the change. Be careful about the devotion like weed. And with careful attention and with the help of an expert devotee, uproot them. Impart spiritual knowledge from age 5. Srila Prabhupada says, at least you must take good care of your son until he is 4 years old. And if after that time you are unable anymore to take care of him, then I shall take care. These children are given to us by Krishna. They are Vaishnavas and we must be very careful to protect them. So let us educate one and all. Education is our family duty. So all this that we are trying to do, ISKCON, Bhagavad Mahavidyalaya, we're organizing these courses, by we going through some systematic study, by we all putting some endeavor to understand things in a very organized manner, trying to be learning them systematically. We are trying to help ourselves and also our generations. Thank you so much. Hare Krishna. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Grantaraj Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai. I'm sorry for taking a little extra time. If there are any questions, comments, reflections, we can discuss.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. Thank you so much. With presentation, it was very helpful, Prabhu. It was very, very helpful. Yeah. And I was seeing Vishwanath Prabhu writing notes. So thank you, Prabhu. Thank you for dedication. Thank you, Ramagiridhari Prabhuji. Very wonderful. Yeah, dear devotees, if anyone has any questions, any reflections, then please go ahead.
Hare Krishna, Bandhu.
Sindhu Mataji, go ahead.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu. Very beautiful presentation, like Kirtita Mataji was saying. Very enlightening. But I had one basic question, or it is my ignorance. This punishment which we are talking about, it is because of my past karma, right? Or is it, right now you said, even if I do adharma in the present life, that will also cause punishments. But
Yes.
That's correct, right? So
Yes.
it could be my past karma, which is manifest, or which is a correction that has to happen because I have the propensity because of my past karma. But in this life, if I do adharmic activities, still I will bear the punishments, correct?
Yes. The way the sinful activities are going to be fructified, it is explained by Rupa Goswami in the very first chapter of Nectar of Devotion. It's prarabdha, apararabdha, kutam, bijam. So he's saying that the sinful activities a person perform, the way it will fructify, when it will fructify, it is very mysterious. For some sinful activities, it may fructify immediately, and for some, it may take a long time. Dhritarashtra once asked that, so far as I remember, in my last 100 lives, I don't think I have committed any sinful activities. Why am I blind? Somebody answered that 101 lifetime before, he had poked the eye of a butterfly or whatever, the caterpillar, because of which he is blind. So this sin, how the sinful effects are going to be, bothering us and fructify, it's a very funny thing. Prarabdha is a manifested one. Apararabdha is something that is going to manifest, or it is almost, in the matured stage. And Kutam and Bijam are more subtle. Srila Prabhupada writes that this process of Krishna consciousness has got the power. The process of pure devotional service have got the power to uproot these 4 effects from the root, and he can be completely be free. So that is why we need to know, as a devotee's next session, we will be talking about difference between papa and aparadha. Because as a practicing devotee, we are supposed to avoid both. And Prabhupada expects us, as a basic thing, you should be stopping committing sinful activities. And offenses, though, definitely we are supposed to be avoiding. So both sins and offenses, both will be, we will be, punished. But sins are something as a basic. And as we are going to go through next session, we're going to talk about 8 different types, and we will go one after the other and learn some, lessons underneath them. The reason why we are, touching this is also because devotional life is like a walking on the razor's edge. Better we do our service, do our devotion with with utmost sincerity, because as a Vaidhi Sadhana Bhakta, we are expected of that. Suppose if Krishna and Guru and great personalities bestow, special bandara of blessings upon us and just, airlift us, great, glorious, may such opportunity come our way. Till that point in time, let's walk the path religiously. Did I answer you, Mataji?
Yes, Prabhu. Thank you so much, Prabhu. Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Prabhuji. Rupali Mataji, you can go ahead now.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. Prabhuji, last 2-3 slides, we go little fast. So then, request you to, I'm not able to think on those slides. So, are we, as a recording is there, no? So,
Yeah,
thank you for
recording
such
is-
a wonderful session. And one question, Prabhuji, that the Srimad Bhagavatam, different type of adharma we were discussing. So, what is the reference of that shloka?
7, 15, 12. 7, 15, 12, 13, 14. Srila Prabhupada writes beautiful purports. And it is important that as we are learning about bhakti, we should also try to understand fake ones. Because when we are trying to do some serious work, when we are trying to buy some very costly product, we should be wary about fake ones in the market. Otherwise, we may get definitely cheated. So, it is important. Bhagavatam is educating that be wary about this fake ones and explaining about 5 different adharma, irreligiosity. 7, 15, 12, 13, 14, those verses are there.
Thank you.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Anybody else has any questions? Okay. Okay, dear devotees, thank you so much. And Prabhuji, we will have class regular timings next Wednesday, right?
Yes.
Okay. So, dear devotees, because of Radhashtami, we moved one day, but next week we'll have on Wednesday, 8 p.m. EST timings. Okay. So, thank you all so much. Look forward, Prabhuji, for the next session. And let's pay obeisances to all the Vaishnavas. Vancha kalpatarubhischa kripasindubhayevacha patitanam bhavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo namo namaha. Anantakoti Vaishnav Vrinde ki jai, Srila Prabhupada ki jai, His Grace Ramagiridhari Prabhu ki jai. Thank you, Prabhu. Thank you for all your efforts. Hare Krishna, and then with pranams. Dear devotees, I'm ending the call. Hari Bol.